Wow. And now, introducing to the world, Michael Franti and Spearhead. These guys are crazy. These tracks are so hot. Believe me, you're gonna wanna brace yourself and listen. All different kind of style, all different moods, versatility. Michael Franti and Spearhead. Listen, listen.
Michael Franti is a poet, musician, and human rights activist. His quest to end poverty has taken him around the world into some of the most challenged areas seeking truth and understanding. As a tireless champion of peace and social justice, Michael Franti continues to be an inspiration of hope and positive action. I'm Clint Shepard. I sat with Mr. Franti to talk about what each of us can do to create a world of peace.
As the children of the earth, what can we do to bring peace to this world?
Well, I think that the first thing is that we have to have compassion. We have to believe that there's a oneness to the world. That all of us as human beings, all of us as animal beings, as plant beings, as rock beings, as water beings, are one thing.
Right.
And anything that we do to harm one of us harms ourselves, and it harms the whole. And that goes for the way that we treat each other in our schools and in our families. It goes for the way that nations treat each other in terms of, are we practicing fair trade, and are we working with other nations to help other nations develop, or are we waging war? And then also it has to do with the way that we have compassion and relate to the environment and our environmental practices. And I think all of it comes back to this sense of giving. In each part of our life, are we giving more out than what we're taking in? Because if we're taking in more and consuming more than what we put back, then there's going to be a negative outcome.
Right. Another question: who are you voting for in the upcoming election?
Well, in this primary, I voted for Dennis Kucinich because I felt like he was, when he was in, which was early on in the stages from California, he seemed to be the person who most eloquently represented my views. And the main thing that I liked about him was that he wanted to create a Department of Peace, take a small percentage of our military budget and put it towards diplomacy and the study of peace around the world. But at the moment, I feel very excited about what Barack Obama is doing. I feel like not only is he a really strong candidate, but he also has, what we call in show business, the it factor, which is kind of like that magical thing. You can't really put your finger on it, but for some reason, he's really magnetic and he's really appealing, and he's bringing a lot of people out that have not voted in a long time. And I've seen his campaign, and he's run a very positive campaign where it hasn't been based on bashing his opponent. It's been based on talking about the ideas. Also, he's born of a white mother and a black father, a Christian mother and a Muslim father, but he was raised in a broken home. His mother raised him as a single mom, and they spent part of his childhood living in Indonesia. And I think that's really what today would make a great 21st century leader, is somebody who's not from a super elite family who had everything go perfect his whole life. It's somebody who's seen things from a lot of different sides. So I think he's a really strong candidate. But on the other hand, I'd still be happy to see Hillary Clinton in there. I just really feel like this country needs a change. Mm-hmm. And the most important thing is that we bring our troops and our tax dollars home as soon as possible.
Can you tell a story about people you've met that would inspire our listeners today?
Well, I meet people all the time who are really inspirational to me. Recently I was in Bali in in the nation of Indonesia, and I met this woman who started a birthing clinic there. She had given birth to 7 of her own children using natural birth, and the hospitals in Bali are really dismal places, and so she started this birthing clinic just in her house, and eventually moved it into another building. And last year, they gave birth to over 1,000 children in this one little birthing center. It's more than 3 a day. And I was really inspired by her because she just saw a need, and she just did it. You know. And sometimes we think like, gosh, what can I do to change the world? There's so much it seems out of our reach. But we all have this wonderful gift, which is ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we just look and think, what is it that I do well? And then how can I apply that to doing something positive?
When I saw you getting down, girl, I hope it was you. And when I look into your eyes, I knew it was true. I said, hey.